The last moments of my life were filled with chaos, pain, and a desperate cry, Allahu Akbar. The phrase was not just a ritualistic exclamation, but a release of everything I held inside: fear, hope, and a yearning for something beyond this world. I was caught in a violent storm, the world around me spinning out of control as life slipped from my grasp. Darkness closed in, and I felt myself drifting away from everything I had known, away from the beliefs that had shaped my entire existence. But then, something impossible happened. Instead of fading into oblivion, or the torment I feared, I awoke in a place bathed in pure, radiant light. It was unlike any light I had ever seen, a light so powerful yet gentle, enveloping me in warmth and peace beyond comprehension. And there, standing before me, was a man whose features were strikingly Jewish in appearance. His eyes held a depth of love, an understanding that pierced through my very soul. This was not the judgment I had expected in my final moments, but a presence so full of mercy and grace that it shattered every fear I carried. The man's gaze was filled with compassion, and his silence spoke volumes of acceptance, forgiveness, and a love that transcended all earthly divisions. In that light, I felt exposed yet embraced, judged yet redeemed. What followed was a revelation that challenged everything I had believed. The man began to communicate, not with words, but with a profound sense of peace and truth that filled me entirely. I understood that I was in the presence of Jesus the Messiah, the Son of God whose identity had always been intertwined with the Jewish people. His presence was overwhelming yet comforting. He did not rebuke me for my last cry, but instead showed me the depth of divine love that reaches beyond religion, culture, and human divisions. I realized that my journey was far from over, and that the message of mercy and salvation extended to all, regardless of faith or background. As I stood enveloped in that radiant light, the Jewish-looking man's presence grew even more profound, filling every fiber of my being with a peace that words cannot capture. His eyes, deep and full of wisdom, seemed to see every corner of my soul, the doubts, fears, and confusions that had plagued me for so long. Though I had cried out Allahu Akbar in my final moments, clinging to the faith that had defined my life, here was a presence that transcended all boundaries, all labels, all the distinctions that humans create. He did not judge or condemn me for what I had been taught or believed. Instead, he offered a love so vast, so unconditional, that it swallowed every fear and every accusation I had ever faced, both from others and from myself. I felt the weight of every expectation, every rule, and every tradition I had tried to uphold dissolve in the face of this mercy. In that silence, I understood that the God I had sought was not limited by the confines of any religion or creed. This was a God who embraced all hearts, all cultures, all paths that sought him. The Jewish man, whom I now recognize as Jesus, revealed to me the unity behind the diversity, the same divine love that called Abraham, Moses, and David called me to. Visions unfolded before me, scenes of humanity's struggle to understand God through different languages, laws, and customs. I saw how many had turned their faith into barriers rather than bridges, divisions rather than connections. But in this moment, I was shown the truth that faith was never meant to separate us, but to draw us closer to God and to each other. Jesus' presence was like a balm to my weary heart. He showed me that my final cry was not a condemnation, but a plea for mercy, a call for God's greatness, which he fully honors. He invited me to lay down my burdens of fear and doubt, and to embrace the peace that only he can give. As I absorbed this revelation, tears streamed down my facets of relief, of joy, of awe. I realized that my journey was not about choosing sides, but about recognizing the one true God who stands beyond all human divisions. This encounter was not just a vision, but a transformation, a profound opening of my heart to a love that transcends labels and unites all believers. Jesus then spoke not in words I heard with my ears, but in a voice that resonated deep within my spirit. "You are my beloved child. I see your struggles and your faith. Come to me and find rest." I felt a yearning unlike any before, a desire to follow this love, to seek a truth that went beyond ritual or doctrine. I understood that my life's meaning was being rewritten in that light, guided by the one who had walked among my people and now stood before me in all his glory. The presence of Jesus, the Jewish-looking man bathed in light, remained with me as visions and emotions swept through my entire being. I was shown the tapestry of human history, the intertwined stories of countless souls searching for God's truth through myriad religions, cultures, and traditions. I saw how the God of Abraham was the God of all people, transcending the labels and divisions that humans had erected over centuries. Every cry, every prayer, every ritual, no matter how different in form, was ultimately a reach toward the same divine heart. I was confronted with my own journey, how I had been taught to worship, how my faith shaped my identity, but also how fear, misunderstanding, and division had clouded the essence of that faith. The man in the light revealed to me that true faith is not bound by outward forms, but rooted deeply in love, mercy, and surrender to God's will. It was a call to see beyond the surface and embrace the unity hidden beneath diversity. As the vision unfolded, I felt an overwhelming compassion for those trapped in religious conflicts, those whose hearts were hardened by pain or prejudice. Jesus showed me that God's heart beats for all people, that no soul is excluded from his mercy, no matter their background or beliefs. The walls built by human hands were shown to be fragile and temporary compared to the eternal bridge of divine love. In that sacred moment, I understood that my own cry, Allahu Akbar, was not a barrier, but a bridge to the one true God, whose mercy and grace extend to all who seek him with sincerity. The man's eyes conveyed forgiveness and acceptance, offering me a peace that filled every broken part of my soul. I felt a deep transformation taking root, letting go of fear, judgment, and division. I was invited to embrace a new understanding, that God's love transcends all differences and calls us to unity, compassion, and humility. Jesus' voice, gentle yet powerful, spoke to my heart. Come to me with an open heart. Let go of what divides you. Embrace the truth of my love that unites all creation. Tears flowed freely as I felt a profound surrender, a breaking down of walls I had built around my heart. In that surrender, I found freedom from the burdens of division, fear, and misunderstanding. I knew my life had been forever changed. This encounter was not just a vision or a dream, it was a call to walk a new path, one marked by love, unity, and a deepening relationship with the God who had revealed himself to me in such radiant light. The light surrounding me pulsed gently, like the heartbeat of the universe itself, and I felt a profound peace settling deep within my soul. The Jewish-looking man, Jesus, stood before me, embodying a love so vast and unyielding that it erased every doubt, every fear, every barrier I had known. In his presence, the weight of centuries of conflict, misunderstanding, and separation lifted, as if it had never been. He began to reveal to me the true nature of God's kingdom that transcends religion, ethnicity, and doctrine. It was not a kingdom built on divisions, dogma, or exclusion, but one founded on mercy, grace, and unity. Every faith, every culture, every person who seeks the divine with sincerity is part of this kingdom. Jesus showed me that the sacred threads woven through Judaism, Islam, Christianity, and all spiritual paths are connected by the same eternal truth. As he spoke, I was shown scenes of humanity's struggles and triumphs, the moments when love overcame hate, when forgiveness broke cycles of violence, and when faith brought light into the darkest places. I saw the pain caused by misunderstandings, but I also witnessed the power of compassion to heal wounds that seemed impossible to mend. The man in the light then shared with me a message not just for me, but for all souls, that God's love is boundless, reaching every heart willing to receive it, regardless of their past, their culture, or their beliefs. He invited me to be a bearer of this love, a bridge builder in a world too often divided by fear and suspicion. I felt my heart swell with gratitude and awe. The identity I had clung to, the labels that had defined my faith and my place in the world, were transformed into a deeper understanding of unity and shared humanity. I realized that the cry I had uttered in my final moments was not a barrier, but a heartfelt call that resonated with the very essence of God's greatness. Jesus' gaze softened, and he spoke directly to me. "You are my beloved child. Go forth with courage and compassion. Let the love you have found here guide your steps and transform the world around you." Tears streamed down my face as I embraced this calling. I felt the boundaries of religion, culture, and fear dissolving into a profound connection with the divine and with all of humanity. In that moment, I was no longer bound by the divisions of the past, but united in the eternal love of God, called to walk a path of peace, understanding, and boundless grace. The profound light of that encounter continued to fill my soul as I was shown the great tapestry of humanity, countless lives, cultures, and beliefs, all weaving together in the hands of the divine. I saw the beauty and complexity of each tradition, each ritual, and each faith's heartfelt longing for God. It became clear to me that beneath the surface, differences lay a shared search for truth, love, and connection with the Creator. Jesus, the man in the radiant light, revealed how the divisions I had known and feared were often the result of human misunderstanding and pride, not the will of God. The barriers between religions, the conflicts between peoples, these were wounds that God longed to heal, wounds that I was now invited to help mend. I was shown scenes of mercy and reconciliation, where former enemies embraced, where hatred dissolved into forgiveness, and where love bridged seemingly impossible divides. I understood that the true essence of faith was not rigid adherence to laws or dogma, but the lived experience of God's compassion and grace. The man's voice, though silent to others, spoke directly to my heart. "You are called to be a vessel of my peace, a messenger of unity in a fractured world. Your journey is one of love and reconciliation." The weight of this calling was immense, yet filled me with hope. I realized that my previous fears and judgments were shadows that now gave way to light and understanding. My cry, Allahu Akbar, once a phrase steeped in human conflict, was revealed to be a sincere expression of surrender to God's greatness, honored and embraced in this divine encounter. I felt a deep desire to return to the living with a renewed purpose to be a bridge between communities, to share the message of God's inclusive love, and to heal the wounds of division. The journey ahead would be challenging, filled with misunderstanding and resistance, but I was no longer alone. Jesus assured me, "My spirit will guide you. When you face opposition, remember, you are held in my love. Walk with courage and compassion." Tears filled my eyes as I accepted this mission. The fear that had once gripped my heart dissolved in the warmth of this divine embrace. I was transformed not by the rituals of men, but by the living love of God. With this revelation, I felt ready to return, to live fully in the light of truth and unity, and to bear witness to a love that transcends all earthly divisions. As the moment of returning to my earthly body approached, I felt a surge of emotion choke, fear, uncertainty, and a profound longing to carry the love and unity I had experienced back into the world I had left behind. The Jewish-looking man, Jesus, stood beside me, his presence a steadfast anchor amidst the storm of my thoughts. He spoke softly, not with mere words, but with a presence that filled every corner of my being. "You have seen the heart of God, boundless, inclusive, merciful. Now you are called to be a living testament to this truth. Your life will be a bridge, a beacon of peace in a world too often divided by fear and misunderstanding." I reflected on my journey, the cries of Allahu Akbar that had marked my final earthly moments, the faith and culture that had shaped me, and the divine encounter that had opened my eyes to a deeper reality. I understood that my mission was not to abandon my heritage, but to transcend the limitations of division and to embrace a spirituality that unites rather than separates. Jesus continued, "You will face challenges, skepticism, rejection, and confusion. But remember, you do not walk this path alone. My Spirit will guide you, strengthen you, and fill you with courage when you feel weak." The weight of this calling was immense, but it was tempered by the overwhelming love that surrounded me. I felt empowered to move beyond fear and judgment, to embody compassion, and to work toward reconciliation among all peoples. Visions of a future unfolded before me, communities coming together in understanding, barriers falling, hearts opening to the transformative power of love. I saw myself speaking not just to those who shared my background, but to all who thirsted for truth and peace. In those moments, I vowed to live a life that honored this divine encounter, to be a peacemaker, a bridge builder, and a witness to the unity that God desires for all humanity. Tears of gratitude and resolve filled my eyes as I prepared to return. Though the journey ahead would be challenging, I knew that the love I had found was stronger than any obstacle. With Jesus' hand upon my shoulder, I felt ready to live, to love, and to bring light to a world longing for hope. Returning to my earthly form was like awakening from a deep, transformative dream. The sounds and sensations of the physical world flooded back sharp, jarring, and yet somehow distant. Inside me burned a newfound clarity, a radiant light that illuminated every shadow I had ever carried. The man who cried Allahu Akbar in his final moments was no longer bound by fear or misunderstanding, but was reborn with a heart open to a greater, unifying truth. In the days that followed, I struggled with the reality of my transformation. My community, my family, and my former beliefs were deeply ingrained in me, and the path ahead was uncertain and fraught with challenge. Some met me with suspicion or hostility, unable or unwilling to grasp the profound change I had undergone. Others listened, curious and hopeful, as I shared the story of my encounter with the Jewish-looking man in the light the Messiah, Jesus. My testimony was raw and honest. I spoke of my fear, my cry, and the overwhelming mercy that met me beyond death. I revealed the vision of God's love that transcends all religious divides, calling humanity into unity and peace. I challenged the divisions that had caused so much pain, and I called for a new understanding, one rooted in compassion and mutual respect. The journey of living out this revelation was neither easy nor straightforward. I faced moments of doubt, resistance, and loneliness. But in the quiet moments of prayer and reflection, I felt the strength of the Spirit guiding me, reminding me of the light that had broken through my darkness. I sought to live as a bridge between cultures and faiths, promoting dialogue and healing where there was division. My life became a testament to the transformative power of God's inclusive love that welcomes all, judges none, and calls each person into a relationship with the divine. Through this journey, I learned the power of forgiveness, not just receiving it, but extending it to others, and importantly, to myself. I embrace humility and grace as the foundations of true faith, recognizing that no path is beyond God's reach. And as I continue on this path, I carry with me the memory of that radiant light and the man who stopped me at the Getesa, reminder that God's love knows no boundaries and that true faith transcends all human divisions. Returning fully to the physical world was both a blessing and a profound challenge. The warmth of the radiant light and the presence of the Jewish-looking man, Messiah, Jesus, lingered deep within my soul. But the world I returned to was still fractured, divided, and often hostile to the unity I had witnessed. Yet, armed with the revelation of God's boundless love, I felt called to be a beacon of peace and reconciliation. The first days were a whirlwind of emotions. I grappled with how to reconcile my past beliefs and the faith I had known with the new truth that transcended boundaries. The phrase, Allahu Akbar, which had marked my last earthly words, was no longer a source of division, but a sincere call to the greatness of Goda, call now embraced within the fullness of divine love I had encountered. I sought to live a life that reflected this unity, reaching out to those from all backgrounds, Muslims, Jews, Christians, and beyond, with a message of compassion and shared faith in one God. It was not an easy path. Many rejected my testimony, clinging to the walls of tradition and suspicion. Others embraced it, finding hope in the possibility of a faith that heals divisions rather than deepens them. Through this journey, I became a bridge connecting hearts and minds, fostering dialogue, and promoting understanding. I shared the story of my near-death experience openly, not to convert, but to witness to the overwhelming mercy that awaits all who seek God with sincerity. My life became a testament to the power of divine love, to transform even the most entrenched divisions and fears. I learned to forgive those who opposed me and to extend grace even when it was not returned. I embraced humility, knowing that the path of unity requires patience, courage, and unwavering faith. In moments of solitude and prayer, I returned to the light, the radiant presence of Jesus who had stopped me at the gates and shown me the boundless mercy of God. That memory was a source of strength, a reminder that true faith transcends labels and divisions, calling all to the same eternal love. I understood finally that God's heart beats for all people, regardless of their religion or background. The journey ahead would be long, but it was one filled with hope grounded in the truth that we are all beloved children of the same Creator, called to live in peace and unity. And so, I walk this path each day, a witness to the divine love that unites us all, sharing a message that has the power to heal, to forgive, and to bring light into the darkest divides.